Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. Your host is here. He's ready, nourished. If you're watching this on YouTube, which by the way, you can watch the podcast. You don't have to just listen. Take me in. 54 years old. I'm fucking sexy, baby. My nose, if you can't see it, is red. It's a bit red. My wife told me to do a little dermatological work. So I got one of those mirrors that blows it up, and man, I had some blackheads. I went after that shit. It's been a long time, and it was enjoyable. It felt fucking good, but now I got a bulbous red nose. Trim my nose hair. I got a little buzzer from Ross Dress for Less. I buzz that fucking nose hair, get it in the ears. I trim the eyebrows a little bit. I did a toenail clip yesterday. I'm tight. My daughter buzzed my hair this week. That's all I can do. I don't know what else I can do for you people. Had a big day, got up early. Me and the wife got on our bikes and we rode 20 miles from Venice down to Manhattan Beach. Got some breakfast, some coffee. Beautiful. There's this beach path that runs through on the beach in LA, and it's just the best. People watching, all kinds of freaks, good looking people, ugly people, and the ocean. It's unbelievable. So we had a good day. Rode the 20 miles, jumped in the ocean when we were almost home, got back, jumped in the outdoor shower, straight into the hot tub, threw a move on the wife, got shot down, came to the office to record the podcast. Almost a perfect day. Almost. Look, those bike seats don't prepare you well for sex. Not 20 miles. Gotta let that thing cool off. So, big guests coming up on the show. Joey Diaz, Jonathan Katz, Rory Scovel, Natasha Leggero, Russell Peters. Those are my next 6 guests. Jesus. 5 guests. That's pretty fucking good. So tune in. Also, don't forget Sunday Papers. Doing great. On the charts. Me and Mike Gibbons doing our show every Sunday, ripping the news apart for you people. That's also on YouTube. And then Childish with Allison Rosen. Been doing that for about a year and a half, talking about our kids. That's also on YouTube. Jesus. Putting that digital content. Can you tell I'm not going on the road for a while? This is my indoor version of stand-up, is just outlets to say shit. Here's some shit I want to talk about. Here's the elephant in the room right now. I don't know if it's all around the world, but definitely in America, is that 80% of the deaths from corona are people 65 and over. And 90% of the deaths are from people 50 years and older, which is why you're wondering, like, why young people don't give a fuck. I've heard it called boomer remover. And I think the idea is that we're kind of sick of social distancing, and we've also realized we can live without the elderly, because that's what it's really come down to. Old people, we love them, but as a culture, we're not like China. China reveres the elderly. Oh, they sit around in a circle and they wait for the pearls of wisdom to come from the old people. Not us. We send them to fucking condos, send down some cat food. Good luck, grandma. So, I mean, it's the economy versus, social distance. And not even that. It's really just not wanting to wear masks. But old people is great for the economy. I think that's what people are saying. It started with that guy, the lieutenant governor of Texas, Dan Patrick. He's 70, and he said that he and other senior citizens are, quote, willing to take a chance on our survival to help return to normal daily life. And if that is the exchange, I'm all in. That's the spirit. We just got to get all of our grandparents to adopt this attitude, to sacrifice their lives so that their grandkids can share a bong with their friends. It's the least you can do. I mean, it's nice to knit a sweater, but how about going to a crowded mall and hugging people for a couple hours? If you really want to take one for the team, invite the grandkids down for the weekend. Let them sneeze around your house a little bit. Old people dying is great for the economy, right? You don't have to pay out all that Social Security. That's a huge savings. Medicare, what, are you shitting me? It's all old people. Plus, when they die, they give all that money they got saved, that goes to young people. They spend it, goes back into the economy. This is great. Don't think that there is not a subtext to this, that old people dying is good for the economy. You know, for all of us, we'll spend less money. We don't have to buy them presents anymore. We don't have to fly down to Phoenix and visit them. You don't have to go to therapy anymore. Once your parents die, why go to therapy? You go to therapy to complain about what your mother said to you last week and how it's bringing up bad feelings for you from childhood. Now you don't have to go. They're not talking. No more therapy. There's $150 a week. We don't have to wait, and you have to wait for a table at the Cracker Barrel anymore. Life's going to be fucking sweet, America. Does this seem harsh? The only two I was thinking about this, the only two really old people we need to survive for the next 5 months is Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Although if one of them dies, that's a savings because we won't have to have an election, right? No, I guess the other side would have to come up with somebody. It would be Pence, probably Pence. Is that who they'd run? And for the Democrats, they'd probably run Bernie. Bernie be back in. Who knows? But old people are going to die. That's why who was the first state to open things up? Florida. God's waiting room. Is that what they call it? God's waiting room? Florida. Open. People fucking all over the beaches, acting crazy. It's like this pool party in the Ozarks. That's what Florida is. All right. Look, it's convenient, isn't it? Isn't it more convenient? Like if really Americans want old people to die, then they're kind of going like, all right, at least we didn't have to hunt them. That would have looked really sad. Hunting old people, that's a bad optic because they're slow. There's no sport in it. Anyway, this is dark. Let's get into the thing that you guys love to do. You guys send me a lot of, we call them colloquialisms, things that your parents or your grandparents said that were charming. We find a lot of them come from different parts of the world, but a lot of Irish and Scottish people have these sayings. Jewish people have them. Black people have some good ones, especially from the South, Southerners. Before we do that, I want to mention one other thing that's very important during Corona and all the racial strife that's going on, the economy shitting the bed, is that may very well affect your erection, America. BlueChew.com. Blue, like the color blue. Increase your performance and your confidence in bed. And you can take them anytime, day, night, full stomach, empty. They're chewable. Work twice as fast as a pill, so you can be ready when that opportunity arises. Pop it, chew it. She'll be like, are you having a snack? And you're like, that's right, I am. Having a blue snack for both of us. If you could benefit from more confidence where it counts, Blue Chew is the fast and easy way to enhance your performance. Prescribed online by licensed physicians, so you don't have to go to the doctor's office or wait in line at the pharmacy. You don't want to run into your neighbor while you're picking up some medications. You know, comes right to your door. Discreet package. Made in the USA. And it's cheaper than the pharmacy. No awkwardness. Right now, we have a special deal for our listeners. Visit BlueChew.com and get your first shipment free when you use our special promo code DOG, D-O-G. Just pay $5 in shipping. Again, that's BLUE chew.com, promo code DOG, to try it for free. Blue Chew is the better, cheaper, faster choice. And remember, when you support our sponsors, you help make the podcast possible. Be sure to use our promo code DOG at bluechew.com. All right, let's get to some colloquialisms here. Got some good ones from you guys lately. And keep sending the overheards too, but I love these. I love hearing these. So many of them I never heard before. Like this one. This is from Ann Wright, who says her Texas stepmom says, get your poop in a group. In other words, get your shit together. I like that. Southern people can make anything charming. They can even make a shit joke charming. Wrap your crap. Come on, man, wrap your crap. I'm going to start saying that. I just coined that. In 50 years, some young kid's going to have a podcast, and he's going to be looking for colloquialisms, and wrap your crap's going to come up. Brian Gullickson said that his uncle married a lovely woman from County Mayo on the west coast of Ireland. Been there. She arrived at a social gathering one time and said, I'm sorry for arriving with my arms the same length. I've heard that before. That's a big thing. The Irish have a kind of a bad reputation for not showing up to the party with anything, being a little cheap. I remember, I've said, sorry for showing up Irish. That's a thing. Showing up Irish and leaving Irish means you don't say goodbye to anybody. But showing up Irish, oh yeah, my mom would do that shit. And my mom would also, the other way to leave Irish is to say you bring an Irish soda bread and half of it gets eaten. You brought the plate. It's on the plate. You take the plate and you take the half the Irish soda bread. That's right. Bottle of Jameson's. Maybe only 2 or 3 people had a drink. Did the host get that? Fuck no. I brought it. That's my Jameson's. I was just sharing it for a little while. Glenn Schur says, worked with an old guy from a little town in southern Utah. When something was difficult or tricky to do, he'd say, quote, like having to stuff a wet noodle up a wildcat's ass. Yeah. Should have used that during my my ad for Blue Chew. I don't know if they'd appreciate that. Palmer says, these are from my dad. Higher than giraffe pussy. And harder than a wedding dick. I don't know about the wedding dick thing. I know a lot of guys. I personally know guys who dick was not that hard on the wedding night. It was more about doing shots with the boys, smoking some cigars, dancing hard, getting exhausted, and it wasn't that hard. I think the expression should be harder than a bachelor party dick. That's a hard dick. That's a dick that's getting teased, performed for, rubbed against. Oh, depending on your bachelor party, your dick was hard, real hard, because you weren't climaxing, but you were getting titillated. Punching these up. Iker 986 said, when my grandfather was extremely hungry, he used to say, I could eat the horse and chase the rider. That's cruel. You take the guy's fucking horse, you eat it, and then you get chased by the guy? Devin Lambert said, here is a saying that my grandmother likes to use very liberally. Quote, she looks like she got rode hard and put away wet. I've heard that. I know that obviously comes from horses also. That's another horse one. Like you rode it and then you put it away wet. You didn't wipe it down. But let's be honest. It sounds more like the girl who got laid and then just got dressed. You know, threw her panties on, walked it off. You know, didn't even wipe. Just straight on with the panties. Whatever. You know? And went to another party, met another guy. College. Kurt Bankston said, my grandpa Ray was a character. Quote, he should be lined up against the wall and shot with a ball of his own shit. Wow. That's good. That's good. How'd you like to shoot a guy with his own shit? How do you load it, first of all? And then naturally you gotta clean your weapon afterwards. Is it worth it? I just use a bullet. I think I'd say to the guy, you know what? You keep your shit. I'm just gonna shoot you with the bullet. And then he also said, if something was certain, quote, as sure as there's cold shit in a dead dog. Wow. Cold shit in a dead dog. I'm afraid about my dog. I think she might be on her way out. Very sad. She's a small dog. She's a Shih Tzu, and she's just like exhausted all the time. I can't get her to come out for walks, and then when I do put the leash on her, it's like taking her for a drag. She doesn't want to. She doesn't want to like move with me, and barely eats. I'm really worried. She's like 13, and I don't know how long these Shih Tzus last, but my daughter sleeps with this dog in her bed every night, and she's gonna be fucking heartbroken. So we're taking her to the vet tomorrow, find out if there's like anything wrong. Maybe there's some vitamins we could start giving her. Anybody know about that? Vitamins for dogs for energy? Let me know. Send them into fitsdogradio@gmail.com, which is, by the way, where you should be sending these colloquialisms or just thoughts. Feel free to email me anytime. Go to the website, fitzdog.com. You can email me there. Scott McKinney said, my mother and father love sayings from their parents and grandparents. If they were going to do something regardless of obstacles, they would say they were going to do it, quote, even if it hair lips the Pope. See, a lot of these sayings do come from like this Catholic kind of the guilt-based superstitious kind of thinking, like if you do something bad, then something bad happens. Like if you, I remember they literally told me if you jerk off, you'll go blind. And I was like, and I remembered, I'm not making this up. I used to masturbate and I would stop just short of orgasming because I honestly thought it would be bad for my vision. And then after a while, I just let it go. I let it out. I celebrated, and I didn't go blind. And when I didn't go blind, I came harder. It made me jerk off harder and more frequently. I felt like I'd been lied to. I'd been deprived for that period of time, and I was going to make up for it. And I also think it might just be the opposite. You might have to flip it. I think if you go blind, you'll stop jerking off because, first of all, you're not looking at porn. There's no visual to stimulate you. And then also, you're never really sure if somebody else isn't in the room. You never really know if you're alone. Like, you might know, but you don't really know. Like, if I'm alone in a room and I'm going to jerk off, I still look around that room in case somebody's trying to make a TikTok. This one comes from Will Henderson, who says, thanks for sharing your journey and normalizing mental health issues. I have PTSD, chronic depression, and anxiety, but keep laughing with you and the brotherhood. All right, good luck, brother. Keep working on it. It all gets better. Never going to be perfect, but it will be better. So he said when my dad was fed up with someone, he'd say, they're as useful as a hat full of arseholes. Hat full of assholes. Jesus. What is an asshole? Isn't it the hole? How do you cut out an asshole? You just trim? You trim the outside? Is it like a flap? What does it look like? Oof. This is from Fraser Pyers. He says, seeing someone else's bad driving, this guy couldn't drive a greasy stick up a dog's ass. And that's an insult. That's an insult to a guy. Hey, man, you are not capable of raping a dog with a stick. And of course, the classic, when he's in need of a drink, my mouth's drier than a nun's cunt. Oh, all right. I've said it. I've said that. Poor nuns, you know? And this one matches up with it. I put this next one after it on purpose. Tim Dilly says, when Earl would see weeds in their yard, he would say, those Dillard boys are about as worthless as a prick on a priest. Well, that's wishful thinking. That's best case scenario, that the priest dick isn't being used for anything. How about we let them marry? It's so insane. There's nothing in the Bible that says the priest can't marry. You know that? And imagine what beautiful lovers they would be. Can you imagine being made love to by a man of God? I mean, you would commune with this guy. You'd be squirting holy water. If you did anything wrong, say you used your teeth a little bit, he'd forgive you. He'd forgive you. And you would go into the deepest, most beautiful sleep afterwards. Oh, to make love to a priest for an adult woman must be an amazing thing. All right. Lot to get to today. I did a really fun little interview. This is going back a couple weeks. Some of it might sound, I'm not sure if it'll be dated, but it was over the phone from the other side of the Atlantic. My guest is from England, or he lives in England now. And he is a really funny comic who also does, these British comics are all kind of interesting. They all have a side hustle going. This guy wrote a book and he cons people that are trying to con you. Like, the book is called .con, the art of scamming a scammer. And he takes junk mail that is the kind of stuff that is trying to rip you off from scammers. And he goes back and forth with these people, pretending he's really interested. And it's fucking hilarious. I read it and I was so psyched to have him on. So we talked for a bit. I don't know how the sound is because it was, well, it should be the same. Such a fucking idiot. Yeah, he's further away, so the sound won't be as good. Because, internet in England versus internet in West Hollywood, where I'm talking to some guests, is very different. You fucking idiot, Greg. All right, here it is. Here's my interview with my guest, James Veitch. Welcome to Fitzdog Radio. My guest comes across the pond today, James Veitch in London. You're in London?
Hello. Yeah, I am. Very much so.
This is my first international podcast. I'm excited you're my guest.
I'm glad to pop your cherry.
Yeah, it's always tough. I've had I've had people in the studio, and then locally we started to use these remote podcasts, and it's surprisingly more intimate than I thought it would be.
Yeah, it's kind of come at the right time. You know what I mean? If this had happened maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, it would have been a bit rubbish, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Just, hooking up, trying to talk to people on the internet. But it seems it's not too bad.
No, there's very little freezing, and because you and I are each using our own recorders, it'll sound good. And I'm excited. So if people don't know you, and so many people know you through, I guess you were launched really from TED Talks internationally. Yeah. And James is a guy who's a devilish fellow, as they would say in England, and he has been interacting with people who try to scam him on the internet. And this is not just, he's got a book out now called .con, The Art of Scamming a Scammer. But this isn't your first foray into this. I guess it's your entertainment. But you've been playing around with people on the internet for a long time.
Yeah, I mean that's what first kind of set up. I was doing comedy before, but I've been doing the scams. I began off. I mean, this is a book that's kind of been revised for America. It's had, I've added chapters in of old scams I that never made the cut, the original. So it's kind of an expanded edition. But I'm always kind of doing it. I'm always trying to find, play with whatever comes my way.
The book, it's a chronicle of
every type of scam that you guys have gotten at home. You know, you've got the Nigerian prince who's got some riches he needs to transfer for some unknown reason, needs to transfer it to you. It's the one where your friends are in Morocco and they got
Marooned.
And they got marooned.
They had their wallet, passport stolen. Yeah, it's very unfortunate, that one.
Right, and because they start off on pretending you're friends, you have a lot of fun with them trying to get them to be intimate with you. And my favorite is when you ask about somebody, you say, "And how's Leonard doing?" And they say, "Great, he's at the passport office trying to straighten things out." And you go, "Your Yorkshire Terrier is at the passport?"
Yeah, I must say, it's Keith, and I must say, Keith seems remarkably capable for a Yorkshire Terrier. Last I remember, he was rolling over. He could, woof for a treat. But I mean, this is fairly advanced stuff because now he's taking meetings at the British Embassy. That's extraordinary for particularly that breed.
Well, that breed, if there's going to be a breed that can do it, it's going to be the Yorkshire Terrier. They've been flying at high levels for a long time.
Yeah, I'd like an appointment, please, at the British Embassy. That'd be amazing.
Oh, that's great. So it goes back and forth, and you get people to really go further with you than anybody could imagine because there's such a desperation on their end.
Yeah, there's something. So there's a thing that's happening where I'm playing with them. They're trying to be the person they think I want them to be. So whether it be someone who's going to give them lots of money, or whether it be a beautiful woman who really likes them, just wants to come over and spend time with them. But there's a little dance going on because simultaneously I'm trying to be the person who I think they want me to be. So, for instance, with a beautiful Russian woman, because I want to keep them on the hook and get them to become more desperate. So as it gets funnier. So I'll say things like, "Oh, I wish, don't think I'm some sort of business mogul. I wish I had someone to share my life and wealth with, something to keep me from those bi-weekly money bonfires I have in the garden for tax purposes, like laps in the money pool and that sort of thing."
And you talk about your bad judgment. You talk about how you're not good with your money.
I make hasty decisions. Oh, I don't think about the consequences. Oh, please don't. I'm very forgetful, and I just carry around lots of cash. And it's very funny. So there's a kind of a little dance going on.
Yeah.
Which is kind of fun.
And the dance on their end, of course, is they start to get kind of sexy. There's a woman that sends you some beautiful pictures, and she says, "I really want to take a bath with you. Do you want to take a bath?" And then you say, and then you say, "Well, I don't know about taking baths. Sometimes there's not enough room." And
it's not as romantic as it sounds, really, to be honest. So I consider that not to be a good idea. Which one is that? Let me find that one. That's the honey trap.
Yeah, that's the honey trap.
Oh yeah.
And you say it's not like Pretty Woman where you've got a gigantic tub.
Yeah, I say, right from the start they're a pain to coordinate, and once you're in, obviously there's no space, hardly any water, and your bum makes unsexy squeaky noises as it rubs on the acrylic, and then you lie there waiting for one of you to admit that it isn't fun until the water gets cold. That said, if you want to have a bath with me, who am I to argue? You're Jimbo. Kiss. So, we have an extraordinary relationship for quite a number of weeks, I think.
And she's beautiful. Let me ask you this, and be honest with me about this. Are you married?
No, I'm not, no.
Do you ever get kind of turned on? Because they really are sexy, and they start kind of being very, coy. Do you ever catch yourself getting a little caught up in it?
I'm not sure. If I'm honest, I'm not sure they are actually that coy.
Yeah.
I mean, she'll say something like, "Who was it?" And there was a princess who she said, let me find it, because I question how Princess Mina. She said she wanted to be my Frened. And she said, and I quote, and tell me if this is, it's remarkably erotic prose here, so just settle yourself down. "I would like to be your Frened. I'm in good health conditions, and my body is healthy, and no diseases in my body." I mean, if that isn't a come hither, I don't know what is. It's phenomenal. I said, "I'd love to be Freneds with you. What are your where are your princes of? You're right, I can handle it. What is it, though?" Oh, she said, "Can you handle it?" She was phenomenal, this She said at one point, she goes, "James, thank you for your words. The only thing I inherit from my father is the money. No one knows the existence of this deposit, only the Reverend Father. And I will plead the man of God to release his personal phone number for me to pass it across to you." I said, "You have God's personal phone number?" Question. Is it 0870? That's a payphone number. I don't care who it is. It's a very expensive call. What's the chew on here? So we end up, unfortunately, I actually end up basically cancelling that relationship because it just wasn't going. I said, "A princess, there's no easy way to say this. I've met someone else. She's a bit all over the shop, but falling. Yes, I'm falling. Know that I'll always remember those first heady days when you were, quote, in good health conditions and my body is healthy and no diseases in my body. And that rocky patch in January when we jilted your crazy uncle, James." And that was the end of that. But yeah, these are just little romances.
I think that's going to be a big selling point in dating. I mean, I don't know what dating apps you use over there, but like on Tinder, you will start saying things like, "I have no diseases in my body" now with COVID going around.
Well, that's my profile. I just have that as it's my first thing they see. I have no diseases in my
Right.
body. I'm very healthy, and I'd like to be your friend. I think we should just be friends.
You know, there is a TV version of this that could be on Spike or something where you actually fly to these places or you have them fly in and take it to the next level.
I don't think that would be a wise idea. I really don't think. The thing is, I don't want to be mean. I think it's just fun. It's really playful. It's just stupid. Like, it's just stupid. And you know, I can do it for as long as they are obviously trying to extort money from me. I don't want to be mean to them. I don't want to go out there and be mean. But as long as they're emailing me, I'll email them back and just play the game because I think it's fun. But I don't think I want to meet anyone or.
Yeah, but don't you think these are people that like? I mean, you're a shrewd guy that's having fun with this, but you know the truth is they are getting money from people, and they're the people that are old, vulnerable, needy. So I don't think there's anything mean enough for these people.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Well, the world's a mean enough place without adding more meanness into it. I think that you know, who knows what place these people are coming from. I think that all I say is anytime they're spending with me is time they're not spending scamming vulnerable adults out of their savings. So I think that's enough, you know, just to have fun. It's great. Your spam folder is like it's a Pandora's box. It's like a fun place to go just to see what,
you say
see what
that,
ridiculous things are in there.
You say that in the book is like, because I used to get a lot more of these Nigerian prince emails sent directly into my inbox.
Yeah, the spam folder is getting better.
But now, if you want to play this game, you have to go into your spam. Now, are people playing this game? Are you getting people that are fans sending you their versions of what you're doing?
Yeah, they do that. I get a lot of that and say, "Oh, I see what you can do with this." But I also now get, because people can guess my email address or something, and so I often get fans emailing me pretending to be scammers.
Right.
You know, and that's I can all really spot, but it's just ridiculous because they're pretending to be scammers, pretending to be someone else. What is going on? What world have I entered? This is crazy town.
Right. That seems like it could be a spin-off for the next book. Is other people's experiences with this.
I don't know. You can't put a joke on a joke. So I think I steer well clear of those. I only reply to spam emails that I get from email addresses that I know have not been compromised. I don't reply to any of the ones that I get to my actual email address anymore because it wouldn't be, you know, I just would never be sure.
Right.
You know. That.
Have you been hacked?
And plus, I'm sure that it. No, I've never been hacked, but I couldn't be sure that you know, if my name came up, I couldn't be sure that they wouldn't be like, they wouldn't have an alarm that goes off, or they've got a picture of me, you know, on a dartboard or something. Who knows?
Yeah. So the shows. Let's talk about the TED Talks, because you did one in 2015 and one in 2016, and
two in 2016. Actually,
and they were like the second most watched TED Talk in history. Is that what I read?
Yeah, one of them is. One of them is. Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah, it is kind of amazing. It's spectacular. I mean, when that first happened, I mean, I don't know if you've had anything go viral, but it's crazy, and a bit of a whirlwind. And now it's just there. It's just there as something I've done, which I'm quite proud of. I mean, I never thought I'd do a TED
Yeah.
talk, let alone 3. And so it's great fun to have it out there.
Right. Did you record it in England or over here?
I think no, that the first one I did it in Geneva. I did it actually first in London, and then the sound was all messed up, so I had to do it again in Geneva. But that was at Geneva, and then I recorded the other 2 in Banff, Canada. A kind of thing there, and that was really fun.
Then so you started out as a stand-up in the clubs in London.
Yeah. I still do sort of think of myself as a stand-up. I mean, I just happen to use slides and things like that to kind of show people. But I see a lot of comedians doing that. If they bring out a piece of paper that they've printed out really large or something, or they'll show a picture or describe it. I just show it because I think it's quite fun. But yeah, I started off doing kind of more vanilla stand-up, so to speak, and then I decided that I wanted to use this. This was what began me off doing the slides. Was this part of this thing, the scanners, and now I just kind of use them often in my shows because I think it's a fun way to make people laugh.
Can you play the local clubs doing that stuff, or they don't have the screen to do it? You have to just do your own spaces.
No, they do. They normally do. They normally have a screen. A lot more. I see a lot more comedians doing it now as well. And they've not got a screen. And then if not, if I go around tour or something, they'll always check and things like that. So it's normally just fine. It's normally it does mean I'm not going to go up there and really do like a quick set. I want to get in and do a long time, but yeah, it's fine.
What's the scene like in London? What's the comedy scene like? Well, obviously it's dead right now, but what's it been like the last couple of years?
It's great. I love it. There's a little place down the road that I go to a lot called I live in Islington. There's a little place called the Bill Maher, which is a comedy venue, and everyone, really big comedians turn up there and just start and do sets, and they give me a couple of hours. So I just do a couple of hours of just rambling, just trying to work stuff out or make stuff up to the audience, and that's really, really fun for me. So that's one of the, and then there are a bunch of other comedy. It's great. I mean, the scene is fantastic, and then all the comedians are go up to Edinburgh for the festival. Basically, it's all kind of arranged around that. So there's a kind of, there's a real sense, you kind of know everyone, I suppose, or know of people and hear about them and stuff. So it's really fun. And there's not that thing like there is in the States where, I find it very weird going to the States where, people come there to see comedy. They don't come there to eat and see comedy. It's really strange when I look down and the person in front of me at the table and some gig is like they've got these tables and they're just eating nachos. I'm like, what on earth is going? And then they're like, so if you could just tell us which joke should we do the checks on? And I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea. What am I supposed to? And then they're just moving around getting the checks, and you have to really learn to turn that, because I get very easily distracted. So you really have to learn to turn that off, because otherwise you're just going to be commenting on everything. And then that whole thing they do in Los Angeles, where they do. The 4 comedians or 5 comedians come on. They each does 10 minutes, and everyone has a 4-drink minimum or something and food, and then they get the checks, and then they get them all out, and then they get another people in. It's like it's crazy to me, because I don't think it's I don't want to bang on say that it's a massive art form. If the one thing this whole pandemic has illustrated to me is the fact that what I do is not important. But there's something about sitting there and coming there to see a comedian, to be kind of, that it's not that you're sitting there in the dark. It's more like theatre. Whereas I think Americans always want it to be more about them. So it's more like a kind of ball game, I suppose, there, with the food and the drinks and the. Don't know.
Yeah, you never know. It's never a good sign when the biggest blackest guy, the bouncer, comes up and goes, "Listen, what's your signal to us when we should drag them out and throw them into the street?" When the heckler. In other words, there's levels of heckling we are assuming you're okay with, but how bad does it have to get? And what's the signal for us to get physical? That's where you're like, oh, this isn't going to be a fun show.
I don't mind hecklers. People don't tend to be heckle me really, because they have to read you know, what's on the screen. So it's kind of got confusing. There are a lot of things that they have to, but also it's quite hard for me to get through to drunk people because I saying, okay, let's say I'm doing a bit and I'm like, so the scammer thinks that I think, and they're like, I'm lost. I can't, I'm done.
Right. Yeah, it's I haven't done comedy over in England. I was supposed to go to Ireland and England in August. I don't know. I'm guessing. I think there's a quarantine coming into Great Britain right now, right? I think there's a 2-week.
I'm sure there is, yeah.
So I don't know how that's going to go in August, but I was going to try to get up on stage and try it out. But there's certain American comics that really jibe well over there. I know Greg Proops does really well, and Rich Hall, and
Rich Hall,
and certain types of comics.
Rich Hall was out in Melbourne, and he does really, really well out there as well. And Greg Proops obviously was on, Whose Line Is It Anyway over here for ages. So he's kind of, loved.
And does he do the chat shows? You guys have a lot of those chat shows.
I don't, probably not anymore, because I think you have to have something to promote if you want to do a chat show. I mean, or maybe not. I mean, I don't really watch sort of terrestrial television anymore anyway, but yeah, it's good fun. I mean, there are lots of festivals around if you want to, come and just do comedy, etc.
Right. So how big is, in terms of doing like what you do, where it is more of a show, it's not like a stand-up who's getting up and riffing, and, yours is pretty pat. So is Edinburgh sort of like your Olympics? Is it like where you go and you do your show and then you turn it around so that every year you've got a different piece?
Yeah. I mean, pretty much. That's the way a lot of comedians work. I mean, I wasn't going to do Edinburgh this year. I was going to use Melbourne. That was going to be because Melbourne, like also the Melbourne International Comedy Festival, or Fringe Festival, or whatever. Anyway, so Melbourne International Comedy Festival. So I was going to I did it there. I had my show kind of ready. But a lot of people do. Yeah, they do all the previews to get to Edinburgh, and then they get the reviewers in, and so rinse, another repeat. So. But yeah, Edinburgh's certainly where I got my start, because I just went and took an hour-long show there, and I had a very small room, and partly because of that, it was sold out every night after like the first week, which meant that it had a sort of a bit of buzz around it, if people wanted to get in and stuff. So that was really fun.
And so is that where you launch the hour and then you tour with the hour after that, or are you touring with it first and then you sort of like cap it off at?
No, you launch the hour there. You don't want press for it before, otherwise the press won't come to your show because it will have been reviewed. So you do it in. I made a mistake actually, because I did a preview in Brighton, and Brighton said you had a tick box on it that said, is this a world premiere? And I went, yes, it is. Instead of what I should have done, which is just leave it as preview. So I got reviewed there, and I should have waited to be reviewed in Edinburgh, but. Yes, Edinburgh is the place where you want to get the press in there. So you'll tour it after that. So once it's done, set, then you'll organise the tour all around that sort of.
And
thing.
Are you still workshopping it when you get to Edinburgh, or it's pretty much locked down by then?
No, it's meant to be locked down, but obviously you are. Obviously the first, Edinburgh's trying to keep the press out for as long as possible, as far as I remember. And then it's a shame because obviously by the end of it, you're absolutely nailing it, and obviously They've come, but yeah, you're meant to have it done. So you're meant to do like loads of Edinburgh previews beforehand. I say that I haven't done Edinburgh in a little while. Well, I went there recently. I went there to do and I just wanted to go there. I was a bit, as you say, I've got everything down pat. So I was a bit tired of doing that. Just because it's kind of like, it's almost like there's very little room at Edinburgh to mess around, because every show has to be 50 minutes or 55 minutes, maybe at the most. And so I need to get all these bits out there, and I don't really have time to kind of mess around, improvise, etc. So I took a work in progress there. I just said this is a work in progress, which I think was a mistake, because people just still, doesn't matter. People came there expecting, and I made it £5 or free, but all the tickets sold out, and so everybody was like coming there expecting a proper show, and I didn't really want to do that. I really wanted just to kind of mess around. So it's definitely not a place for a show that isn't ready. I would say.
So, do you see this as an ongoing show that you that you refill with more of this scammer stuff, or are you focused
I
on
might
something else?
I might do. I mean, I do a lot of different things around sort of communication. So, but I would, sometimes I try and put in a scam. I might do another one further down the road, because I am kind of often emailing people back. Like right now, I was emailing someone I got an email about Oxfam, from Oxfam, saying they're going to give me $1 million or €1 million to help with the COVID thing. And I'm like, absolutely, I can't. Yes, I will take this money. And so I'm always kind of messing around with that sort of thing.
Right. But your background, you always dealt in digital stuff in your comedy before that?
No. As I said at the start, I was always doing doing regular stand up. Just doing like a 20-minute set, and that was okay. But it's hard to differentiate yourself from the crowd when you do it. And I just found this thing, and I was always very good at technology, so I thought, well, why not use that? I was always I came at it, I suppose, a little bit from a marketing perspective. I just needed to be recognizable and just do something slightly different. And that's kind of stuck, just because I get better at it, and as I go
And
along.
I saw on your website it seems like you do a lot of these like corporate events. You go in and do something for a company.
Yeah. It's super fun. I get to go along to a corporate event, and I'll just go and I'll tell you what, because I use slides, I think they think they're learning, and they're not, and I don't have the heart to tell them. And it's it's a good way of trying to pay the mortgage in post-Brexit Britain.
Sure. Right. So let's get back to your book. Let's
book.
talk about your conversation with Winnie Mandela. I love that one.
Winnie was wonderful, because it's not every day you get an email from Winnie Mandela, and she's fairly, she's a phenomenal individual. And this was actually about, I think, 3 or 4 months after Nelson Mandela had died when this happened. And so, but she obviously they hadn't updated the email. So it began saying, I am Winnie Mandela, strong opener. I'm the second wife of Nelson Mandela, the former South African president. I was like, oh, good, that Winnie Mandela. Because I know I have so many in my contacts list. I just wanted to be clarified. I'm in possession of $45 million. I need to transfer it out. She's writing all caps, by the way, which is just classic Winnie. I need to transfer it out of the country because of my husband, Mr. Nelson Mandela's health condition. I don't know if you're married, but you obviously call that person Mr. or Mrs. Anyway, she wants to transfer it out because of Nelson's health condition. I said, I'm so sorry to hear this. Given that Nelson died 3 months ago, I described his health condition as fairly serious. It's pretty much the worst health condition you can have. And then we just kind of got into this chat, and she said, I will offer you 25% of the fund. One love. And I said, awesome. No woman, no cry. I just thought that's what she was. She said, it's $11.3 million. I said, one love. I said, amazing. I shot the sheriff, but I did not shoot the deputy. And then I became her investments manager, I think. I mean, it's funny, like, thinking about these. Each one of these took a long time.
Yeah.
There's a great one with this company, China Jewelry Corporation, right? Who were like, basically, I got hired. They were like, I found your CV in the internet, and I would like to offer a regional manager position with our recently formed European department. There is no formal interview process for this position, and most of our communication is done online. Anyway, they give me the information. I said, Dominic, so sorry it took so long to get back to you. For some bizarre reason, your legitimate job offer ended up in my spam folder. Great news about my CV. That's a resume for Americans. I'm really glad I slapped that bad boy on the internet. I must confess, I like the cut of China Jewelry Corporation's jib. Most other companies I've applied to make you jump through all sorts of hoops, references, interviews, applications. Most even demand you meet face-to-face. Ridiculous, right? Anyway, full disclosure, Denmark is off the cards for me for obvious reasons. As yours, James Veitch, regional manager, China Jewelry Corporation. So we get, obviously they want me to transfer a small
Is this the guy
fee.
is this the one where you say, I'm just getting over the charges, my criminal charges, and they say, what for?
Yeah.
And you
Well,
say,
they said, yeah, I said, does it matter I have a criminal record? And he said, your crime was what? And I said, embezzlement from a jewelry firm. He said, not matter. I said excellent, all in the past anyway, and there's a little asterisk, and at the bottom I wrote fairly recently.
That's so great.
It's just all stupid fun.
Yeah, that's so amazing. You should make a.
But technically, think about this. I only wrote half the book. You know, like a lot of other people have, like. Who are those people? I mean, my publisher was like, you know, are they going to claim royalty? I'm like, they're not going to claim royalties.
That's right.
You know, they are criminals.
Right.
But it's really these people, anonymous people, these people I do not know who they are, don't know their identities, have written in the book. Yeah. They've given their right. So it's lovely. Maybe they've got a copy. If I had their addresses, I would send them copies.
Oh, that would be great.
Via Western Union.
All right. Well, listen, I can't recommend this enough. I really enjoyed reading it, and it's a coffee table book. It's something that you can just.
It's a coffee table book, but it's also a coffee table for your coffee table. But it's also a coffee table for like friends and families' coffee tables and birthdays, and you know, give it to that special someone, and then give them a copy to give to someone else. It's the sort of thing where we need to buy as many of these as possible because the publishers have said that I may have missold my appeal, my broad appeal.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we just buy it because it's a quick read, and anybody who's been scammed will get a lot from this. They'll be like, "Wow, I've got a lot from this." So there we go.
Yeah, it's a lot of good laughs. It's laugh out loud funny book, which is pretty rare, and it's called .con: The Art of Scamming a Scammer from Hachette Books. Get it at all internet outlets, as long as they stay open. If Trump doesn't close them down, and you can still get to them. James Veitch, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thanks so
thank you
much.
very much.
Yeah, pleasure chatting with you as well.
Okay.